All right. I'm going to stop talking for a little while and turn it over to Molly DeLallo, our trail stewardship coordinator.
Good time, but I love to talk, so thank you. Thank you. To reiterate what has already been said, thank you all for being here this evening. We have this unique opportunity this winter of sending myself out to trailheads as well as Amanda. So if you're on the fence about volunteering or you want some company out there, you will have the opportunity to register with myself or Amanda and spend some time at the trailhead with a VVMTA or Forest Service representative. So kind of looking at the trail ambassador, I'm a little nervous, so if I'm rambling, I do apologize. So looking ahead at trail ambassador expectations, this has been said multiple times this evening, but we are here to educate people about the importance of these trail closures. Something that we're not out there to do is reprimand or criticize. Ultimately, we can provide people with this information and they will make the decision based off of what they're feeling that day. So you don't have to go chase anyone down. You don't have to yell at anybody. Some of the best interactions you can have are calm, collected, and this is just an opportunity to educate. We are also providing a lot of guidance on where trail users can recreate. It's not, as most of us in this room know, that not all of these trails are closed, but it is a bit of a misconception of every trail in Eagle County is closed. Now I don't have anywhere to go. There's plenty here in the Eagle area that we still have open. There's plenty up valley as well, as Kat has touched upon and Jen has touched upon. So we are out there providing alternative options for people. And with Haymaker, which is so popular, first and second loops, again, are open. This is a little bit more kind of in the spring season, communicating leave no trace principles, trail etiquette, and responsible recreation practices. Some of the expectations that I will ask of each of our volunteers is that you try at your best to register 24 hours in advance. Something that you can expect from me this winter is by the 1st and the 15th of each month, I'll have a schedule for about 2 weeks out where you can plan on if you want to be out there with me. You're welcome. Like I said, I like to talk, so you might be 30 minutes. That's enough. That's good. But I will be out there for 4, sometimes 5 hours. If you want to join for the entire shift, you're welcome to. That will kind of subject to change depending on weather, kind of keeping that in mind. But that's something that you can expect from me, seeing that schedule up there, seeing that as an opportunity to get out there with someone. Also, what we would love is if you are out there independently, please submit a log. You don't have to do that if you're out there with me. That's something that I will take care of. And make sure that you're wearing something to show that you're representing VVMTA and you're not just some random person who's saying, why isn't your dog on a leash at a trailhead? We have name tags that we'll give you. We have beanies that are on their way that we will also give you. So let me switch to yes. When and where to volunteer. Yes, 30 minutes. If that is all that you can give in an afternoon, it is better than nothing. And we appreciate any amount of volunteer time that you can give us. And thinking about kind of where to volunteer, this is where that game camera, Ernest has already talked about this. This is where that game camera information is so important. If we're seeing that there's more violations, more people on Nob Hill, that's probably where we're going to ask you to go. We'll ask you to areas that are, Haymaker again is a heavily used trail. So I'll be out there quite a bit down in Eagle this winter, but just keep that in mind as we communicate with you of, hey, we might ask you if possible to go up to Nob Hill or go to Haymaker, depending on where those violations or where we're seeing that amount of wildlife. We do have some time commitments that are suggested. So between now and June 20th. So you have just over 6 months of an opportunity to get out there. So six shifts, between 30 minutes to an hour. Again, you're welcome to spend many hours out there if you would like to. But we're asking that 3 shifts on the Eagle closures from December 1st to April 15th, and then 3 shifts during the spring wildlife closures, April 15th to June 20th. And that's where, once we kind of talk more about our spring training later in April, we'll talk more about kind of what that will look like. But really right now, kind of focusing on Eagle, Avon, or the Edwards closures. Materials needed. Okay, so this one, I'm just gonna jump right to it because it's the most fun. We want people, we're trying to incentivize people to do the right thing. So instead of, again, we're not reprimanding, we're not criticizing anyone. If you see somebody with a dog on a leash, here's $5 to Yetis or Color, have a coffee on us. They're doing the right thing. If you have a lovely, pleasant interaction with somebody, here's $5, have a coffee on us. So it can look like a lot of things, but again, we're trying to incentivize people to do the right thing. We're trying to get people out there and say, hey, thank you for obeying the closures. Thank you for having your dog on a leash. We'll also have, if you plan on spending a little bit more time independent of me this winter, we'll give you some trail ambassador informational cards, as well as the Respect the Wild, Take the Pledge cards. So right up here, as well as this one. Those coffee gift cards are going to stay in my possession. So if you're going out there with me, that's when we can hand them out. You'll also, as we've said, we will give you a beanie or a hat on your first shift, but we are expecting you to go out there a couple more times after that. So it's been a bit on the honor system with that one, but again, we really want to emphasize, incentivize people doing the right thing this winter. All right, so I'm going to exit this real quick. And if you want to make this a little bit more interactive, you're welcome to get on your phone and kind of follow along with me. So where do we actually exist? Where to find all of this information? You can go on our website. Are you connected? Yes, connected to the internet. That would be delightful. Thank you. I'll jump over here. So our website, vvmta.org, is going to give us all the access that we need. So when we get onto our homepage, where to find registration, dropping down from stewardship down to trail ambassadors. A little bit of lag time. All right. And if you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom to find that registration, this is really important. If you are going out there independent of me, this is where you can find it from that drop-down menu, Trail Ambassadors. So Ernest, go ahead and click on that one, please. Thank you. Cool. So not only you can see if you are like, I'm going to go out independently of Molly or Amanda, but maybe in the next week or so, I'd actually like to get out there. Not only you can see on the upcoming events, you can go ahead and register right there through that registration. It's super simple. Please, if anything pops up, if you are not able to make your shift, please make sure that you're communicating that to myself. And that way I won't be looking out for you too much. I won't be worried too much about you. So if you actually click on Trail Ambassador Shift with Molly, you'll say, hey, I'm going to be out there at Haymaker on Haymaker that day. So that's the correct one. So you can actually see the registration right on that page, right on that events page. Again, I keep emphasizing this is there's no requirement to go out there with me. But if you're a first-time volunteer or you're a little bit hesitant, it is strongly encouraged that you go out there with myself or Amanda. And that way we can have, conversations, what it looks like to what kind of interactions we might have with somebody. And that way we want to make sure that you feel fully comfortable and prepared being out there independently. If you want to also just jump back to the Trail Ambassador page so we can show where the logs are. All right, submit your trail log here. Something that I am notoriously horrible at is taking photos. Don't be like Molly in this situation. Take lots of photos. Do better than Molly. Please make sure that you're doing this. And we also want to see if you see something interesting, if you see interesting tracks out there, or if you, again, let me go, like, you don't have to take photos of anybody's like, oh my God, this violator on the trail. You don't have to be doing that. Don't worry about that. But if you see an animal out there, if you see interesting tracks, if you see there's some photos of scat, some poop photos that are out there as well, somebody really happily took photos of that, go ahead and document that as much as you possibly can. Something new that we have on this log this winter is we're trying to figure out how many people live in Eagle County that are coming to these trails versus how many people are from outside of Eagle County who are just here on vacation, just here visiting. Nikki talked about this. One of the big challenges that we have is how do we get our message out to people who are coming from out of town, who might not be familiar, have that familiarity with our trails in this area. So we're just trying to get a gauge of, who is actually using these trails. If you want to, yeah, go ahead. I'm barreling through. The best way to do it is after your shift, if you're out there independently, just go ahead and do the log. Just go ahead and do it on your phone. And that way that message or that data goes directly into our kind of a backend system for us. If that's easy enough for you to do, but you don't have to do it if you're out there with me. Yeah. You go home and do it. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. I've seen your logs. They're amazing, Ellen. They're incredible. So for those who are not able to be here this evening, 2 alternative suggestions are you can also print out this form and take notes on it. Or if you want to take notes during your shift, you can do this at home. Just try to make sure that you have an idea of what these questions are ahead of time, so that you can actually fill in everything in the log. Cool. And you should be able to jump back to the slide. Something that we're doing this winter as well as, again, I'm emphasizing the preparedness. It is my responsibility. It is our responsibility to make sure you are feeling as prepared as possible. I'll go to that in a second. It's all good. Feeling as prepared as possible when you're out there. So I am in the process of creating a trail ambassador manual. There is so much information in there. There's a lot of scenarios, a couple of them from real life situations that I've gotten into. But it gives you who to call, who to communicate with. It gives you safety protocols, what kind of the expectations are, and also a lot about the why. We've listened to the why of why we have these seasonal closures. You can use as much of that information or as little of that information as you would like to, but it will be at your disposal to use that manual. And it's a little bit of a work in progress right now. There's things that are being added to it. There's things that I'm kind of working on, but that will be accessible to you within the next couple of weeks. With checking it in, does anybody have any questions? I'm kind of barreling through things a little bit. Cool. So checking in and checking out. So I always go back to the number one principle of leave no trace. Make sure that you are planning ahead and preparing. If you're going out there, and especially if you're going out there independently, have a person to contact. Say it's, your partner. Hey, by the way, I'm going to be at Haymaker for 30 minutes. I'm going to be there for an hour. Have a person that you can communicate with. When is your shift and where your shift is? And we have a little bit of a what is it, a triage, I guess, of safety with our safety protocol. So if that person doesn't hear from you, we have a list of contacts at myself, Kat, 911 as a very last resort, but we're going to try to prevent that from happening because we're planning ahead and preparing. But making sure that you're communicating to people where you're going, and if there's any inclement weather out there and you're driving to a trailhead, it's just always good to have that communication, that open line of communication with someone. Cat. Clayton. I'm gonna pass this off. I'm at the like goofy giggling phase right now, so I feel like the pass off.
I understand. I'm feeling the same way. Hi, everybody. My name is Clayton Burns. I am the trail crew lead here on the Eagle Holy Cross District. Before that, I was the adopted trail ranger with VVMTA for the past 3 seasons. And I'm here to talk to you about safety. First priority, be safe, right? As Molly pointed out, first and foremost, plan and prepare ahead, making sure you have that good point of contact that knows where you're going, but also when you get back. So they're not running around trying to find you in the middle of the night to, oh boy, they're back at home all safe and sound when I'm out at the trailhead looking for you. So making sure that's all hunky dory. What are some other risks that you may encounter on the trailhead, folks? Frostbite, that's a good one. So going out there, we all recreate pretty intently during the winter. The most important thing is wearing your proper layering. Plenty of layers to keep you warm, plenty of layers to keep you cool as well. Those wicking layers to pull that moisture away from you. So you're regulating your temperature. You're not getting soaking wet out there, getting to the trailhead to then be standing there soaking wet for the next hour to be miserable the entire time there and the way out. And that's going to affect, how you're going to talk to people also. If you're not cheery and joyful because you didn't plan and prepare ahead, you might be feeling a little more irked that day or that moment. And then you have folks coming up at you and you've had the scenario running in your head a few times. Oh, I'm going to catch that bad guy. It just might come off a little bit hot-headed if you're not cool-headed. That's right. Other things, weather, as we were talking about, Molly brought up, driving to the trailhead, weather while you're standing out there. Weather changes in minutes out here. It can be absolutely sunny and beautiful. All of a sudden it is foggy and it's snowing on you and the temperature dropped a whole bunch. So making sure that you're prepared for that too. If it gets really bad and crummy, head out back to your vehicle, stay warm, stay dry. Trees, things get windy out there. Trees start blowing. You're in a place where it's really thick. Take a look around. What's around you? What are your hazards that may be coming down on you later? Do you have dead trees hanging around? Do you have branches hanging out in trees? Anything like that might come down on you. Animals. We have a lot of animals coming through. We're here for the wildlife, but that means wildlife sometimes finds you. As Jen brought up, the rule of thumb, making sure that is in your back pocket at all times, right there. Pull that out and you know what's going on. And if the wildlife come out towards you. We do have some predators in the area. The bears, they'll be asleep, thankfully, but the mountain lions are still out and about. So what do you guys think you're going to do if you come across a mountain lion that comes walking up on you on trail? Yell. Make yourself known. Do not turn around and run. Cats like to chase things. They're going to chase you. So making sure you're standing your ground, you're staying firm, you're facing that animal, and you're going to put some sort of barrier in between you or it. Fence, a vehicle, not your friend, your dog, and whatnot. What other kind of hazards can we come up with? People. That's the number one hazard that we're going to really run into, are people. And at being a land manager, we are here to enforce the rules and regulations on our zone, but more importantly, we're there to educate first and foremost. We never go out into the woods hoping to write those tickets or anything like that. We're always out there to hope to educate and inform people to make those better decisions. And then if they keep making those bad decisions, then we can get into enforcement a little bit more. But making sure we're protecting our resource first and foremost, making sure the wildlife are happy and healthy and content. What else, folks, can you name? Thank you, Ernest.
People's dogs that jump up on you.
Yes. Yeah, there.
Ask the owner, is it okay if I give your dog a treat? So,
Yeah. Having those dogs come up and jump on you, boy, howdy. I love dogs. They're amazing, but I don't know your dog. So, hey, Fido, I'll keep you right over there. Push them right back down onto the ground. And then, ask if you can give them some treats if you have them on you. And just kind of bring that energy back down with those dogs. Public engagement. How do I approach and engage with the trail users? Again, we're going out there to educate our folks. And so we're going out there with the thought in mind of protecting our resource first and foremost, and educating them on all the things that Jen has said, and Molly has said, and Ernest has said, and Kat has said, and giving that back to them, and then providing them with the resources as well. We have those information cards we can hand out, QR codes that they can scan, websites that they can go to right there. You can pull it up on your phone beforehand, and you can just show it right then and there for folks. And also coming up with other places for them to go. Amanda has been coming up and developing other trails in the zones that they can go to. They run into Evercrisp. Evercrisp is closed. Go down the road a little bit further, you'll run into grouse, you know, and you can go hang out on Grouse Mountain all you want in a non-motorized sense. How do I educate them and why the closures exist? Why their dogs should be unleashed? All those things that Jen and folks have already brought up. You just reiterate that again as well, and bringing it back onto the resource. You know, we're here to protect the resource first and foremost. What if they become upset? Disengage. You know, you're a volunteer. You don't need to deal with that. You know, if they're coming at you, you can hand them my card, you can hand them Kat's card, Ernest's card, you know, push them up the food chain and get them out of your face first and foremost, right? That's what we do as supervisors. Just push them off onto the next person. Mike, it might end up at the district ranger's desk. Just keep pushing it off to the next high guy. But yeah, really just disengage and really just try not to rile them up, and coming up with other places for them to go, other opportunities for them. You know, if they hang out in Grouse or Meadow Mountain and Evercrisp all day long, you know, point them towards the Eastville trails and go explore a new zone in a different place, making sure they know the rules and regulations of there as well. We'll see what's next. And then emergency procedure. Again, you're checking in and out with somebody at all times when you're going out with these, especially when you're going out solo. So if something happens, you see something, weird feelings, those weird gut feelings we get, call somebody, tell us about it. We want to hear these weird feelings. Strange things happen in the woods, but it's better if we can know about it, document it, and collect that data on what's going on. So if you need to, please take a photo of these. They'll also be available later and be sent out to you. But contact these folks about weird things, Molly, Kat, the sheriff, or myself, and bring it up to the ranger station. You know, if something weird, bring it up to the BLM office, you know, the open space managers. Let people know what's happening out there, because you're there, we're not. So that helps. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
We're really close to being done here, folks. So thanks for hanging with me. I wanted to come back to this one real quick because, okay, this is an important one because that's what we're doing. We're engaging with people out there, right? And it's being happy, it's being nice, it's being approachable, it's being kind, have a smile on your face. And honestly, since 2018, since we started this, I'd say 98% of the conversations that occur out there are positive. And most people are super, super appreciative that you just taught them something, because more often than not, they're showing up at that trailhead with not knowing that it's closed. Honestly, that's the case more often than not. So when you educate them on why it's closed, they're shocked, and they're thankful, and they're even more thankful for you telling them where they can go recreate at that point. And that public engagement does a lot. It educates that user there, and hopefully that user shares it with their friends, their family, whoever it may be. They're not going to come back to that trailhead again during the closure. That takes that person away from that area. And second, it supplies that information. I don't know how many stories and great information I've gotten from Ellen over the years, from her engagement with the public, of understanding where these people are seeing that this trail exists and not noticing that there's closure on it, or if they're coming from a nearby neighborhood or housing rental area, like how they came in from a social trail that connects in with above the closure. And all this information comes from that public engagement and then comes back into the logs for us. You know, the story I like to use is Ellen at Son of Middle Creek Trailhead in Vale and talks to someone coming off of the trail from behind the gate. They're like, "Where'd you come from?" Social trail from the apartments, just, you know, 1,000 yards away, above the closure gate. Ellen tells me the story. I contact the HOA. The HOA sends out information to their people. We put up a sign from our trail conservation crew on that social trail saying that this is an area that's closed during the season. And that's the kind of thing that really is awesome and super valuable from those engagements that you're having out there at those trailheads. And little pieces like that and little bits are super helpful to make this as successful as possible. So that public engagement is key. If someone gets annoyed or mad, they probably have some deeper things going on than not being able to use that trail right then and there. And that's where, as Clayton said, just let them go. Even if they go past the gate and go on the trail anyway, don't chase them, don't do anything, turn around, call Kat, call Molly, call Brian with the town, whoever it may be, to have them come out and deal with that. That is not what we are asking you as trail ambassadors, volunteers to do. So if that happens, first, I apologize first and foremost from the VVMTA, but I want you to know that you do not need or want to engage in that type of ridiculousness, honestly, is the best word I can use for it. So, question.
Is it appropriate, or can we let people, and I think this is specifically for Haymaker, we let people know what's at risk? I mean, I was out there today.
Yeah.
Running about. Girl had an off-leash dog. We had a very nice conversation, but I was like, we were this close, like beyond this close. So losing access to this.
Yeah.
Because of this. And I just want you to know. And she had no idea. And she was a local, and I don't know how we're not reaching these people. So I think it's great that we're going to have people at the trail, but some people really don't know how close we are to losing access to some of these things that if they're out there, they value it.
The great message, and just to sum it up and repeat it here, that it's a great message to add on to, right? We're there to educate on why these closures exist, how to mitigate your impact on wildlife if you're on an open trail. And in the Haymaker situation, the example is having your dog on a leash. So letting people know that if your dog is off a leash and you're breaking the rules and you're impacting or potentially impacting the wildlife, it's a real scenario where we as recreationalists are going to lose access to those trails. And if we don't do our part to be stewards and to take care of what we use and what we love, we don't deserve to have it, and we're going to lose it. And because we're not doing the right thing. So by doing the right thing out there, not only protects the wildlife, but it makes sure that sustainable trail access that we are constantly advocating for is something that is maintained, and we can keep going out and connecting with nature and exercising and having fun. So we just want to make sure we're doing it in the right way. And it's a very important message to add on there, especially in the Haymaker area. So thanks, Laura. It's a good comment. Kat, did you want to talk about this real quick? Yeah.
Engagement piece. So not to belabor this, I'll keep it quick, and maybe I'll work with Molly to get some information in your manual. But one technique that I teach my wilderness rangers and that I encourage you guys to use is called authority of the resource. And so this was developed by George Wallace, and it's a way to distinguish between like authority of the agency, AKA Forest Service, BLM, Eagle County. We can like enforce laws, regulations, we can write a ticket. Where volunteers, and we even try this, we encourage you guys to talk about the resource instead. So you're not approaching someone and being like, hey, this trail's closed, put your dog on leash. That's not a positive contact, and it's not efficient or effective in changing that person's behavior. Really, the goal is to connect them back to nature and the resource. So this is like a subtle way to de-emphasize the regulation and the law and to connect them back to nature's like inherent need and requirements that we are stewards too. So for deer and elk, they need quiet, undisturbed, safe places. So there's 3 steps to this, and I'll just go through quick. But the first step, when you see someone out there who's doing like an undesirable behavior, is to objectively like make a statement about what that behavior or the situation is. So say a dog comes running up to me and I don't see the owner and I'm standing at a gate. And then I see someone walking up, like, okay, someone's coming up. You just be like, hey, like, how are you today? Do a couple icebreakers. Be like, oh, this is such a beautiful dog. Is this your dog? And hopefully they'll say yes. Hopefully they won't say no. I don't know where this dog came from. So now you're kind of like breaking into that situation. You stated like, I see a dog off leash. And you're standing at the Evercrisp gate. Like, oh, have you heard of our seasonal wildlife closures before? And they'll either say yes or no. And you can just then explain all that good content that you guys just learned here. Like, well, we have these closures in place to preserve some like quiet spaces for deer and elk. And actually, like having your dog off leash, they can disturb even on the fringes, animals, birds, other wildlife. I'm rushing, so it's not the best example. And then the third step is to state like, how can that behavior be fixed? How can we make the situation better? Like, oh, do you have a leash? Like, we really encourage everyone to use a leash right now. Or if someone's behind a gate, where else can you hike? Like, oh, you didn't know about these wildlife closures. I get it. They're new, they're kind of funny, confusing, but there's some great other trails that you can recreate on and get the same type of experience. And so really the main intent is to just like always try and connect them back to the resource, right? Is what is gonna change that long-term behavior, is connecting them back and having that shared stewardship. I'll include some stuff in the handbook that you guys can use, but just a couple other tips. Body language is really important when you're making a contact. So if I come up to Clayton, I'm like, hey, how are you doing? You know, it's kind of scary, like squaring up with someone. But if you stand side by side and you can take in maybe the elk herd out on like the haymaker or wherever you are, you guys can connect on that natural resource together out there. And then other tips is, yeah, always don't assume malicious intent. Assume that that person is out there because they didn't know and they didn't understand. That's going to be a positive contact. If you come in, you're like, I've seen you around. I know you're local. You should know better. They're going to be like, whoa, because people are intense and it's just not going to be productive. So just sit with that. We'll provide some more information, but thank you all so much again.
That was great. Thanks, Kat. Super helpful. So ending it on some fun notes, because a little palate cleanser after all of that, right? On some positive, Molly mentioned we want to incentivize you to be out there, because we want to say thanks really more than, it's not incentivizing, it's saying thanks from our standpoint. One thing Molly didn't mention, if you go and join her, she's going to have a little bit of a setup out there with be able to make some hot tea or some coffee or cocoa. So join Molly if you have a chance. So there's an incentive right there. From Molly, but we do have through all of our programs at VVMTA is our rewards program. And our rewards program is based to say thank you to you, our volunteers. Throughout a season, January 1 basically to December 31st, if you volunteer over 6 hours of your time, you get access to some of these rewards. You get Pro Deal on Expert Voice, go buy all the gear you want for all these great companies for 40% off or so. You get 15% off of some VVMTA swag. We send out some specific newsletters. You get a swag pack too, if you do over those 6 hours from us. So some socks, on top of that hat and beanie you get as being a trail ambassador, you get some of that swag. And then the bigger ones that I have in the picture here is if you're over 18 hours in the year, you get a nice Patagonia branded hoodie with VVMTA on the logo that myself and Michelle Wolf here are wearing. And that's volunteering through all of our programs. So again, you can go out and adopt a trail, our Wednesday night trail crew, ladies trail crew, trail ambassador, at Vail Oktoberfest, whatever it may be. All of those throughout the year add up and gets you put into these numbers to earn these rewards. And you get this digital ID card and you get some pretty good discounts to some local spots. Like if you're a mountain biker, you can go down to Kyle at Seagulls and get a really good deal on a tune that he gives to our members. And Yeti's gives a deal, and a bunch of other restaurants and local businesses do as well. So those are the incentive. And then again, just a little fun. Violators caught on film. Always great to see what they look like and what they're doing out there. And even more so, fun ones, the wildlife caught on film, on camera. So we do see a lot out there, and we're going to communicate with you all on a monthly or bi-monthly basis here throughout the winter to give you updates on what we're seeing out there, what's occurring, if we're asking you to go somewhere different. And we want to share some of these photos with you to help make it a little bit more lively and fun and engaging. So you'll see some photos from us this year. So with that, I think that's it. Molly, you have anything else?
Thank you. Thank you to be a part of this program, and thanks for making it so great.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Any questions? Anything at all?
Thanks for making it so easy. So easy.
Yeah.
Molly, will you create a cheat sheet that we put in our pockets that says where people can go? Yeah. I mean, because we know if we're looking at things, like I know the Eagle one, obviously, because I live down here, but I don't even know where Donald.
Most people outside of Singletree don't.
Yeah, I think minimize paper and getting stuff out to people at each one. In that manual, I'll have a list of all the open trails. If you want to just take a screenshot or something of that, you're welcome to do that. Another thing with that too is having that just open. I know some of the service can be a little bit sketchy, but I think the best thing is to just have that screenshot available so that you can get that list.
Yeah, screenshot or on your phone and repeating the questions you guys are here in the room was if there's a way to have kind of a one sheeter or pager in your pocket to talk about which trails are open or provide more information. And the idea is to have either on your phone, on our website, or the training manual digitally. They'll both be available right there. The cards that you'll have at the trailheads with you as well as a QR code right on there that goes right to our seasonal closure page. And on that same page, it also lists what trails are open with links to those trails, to trail forks, and the apps to show you where to go. So it's all right there digitally. We try not to hand out too many pieces of paper out on the trailhead because more than likely they'll end up on the ground, unfortunately. And we'd want to try to avoid that. So we try to keep it a bit more digitally if we can. So yes, all listed, open or closed. Tow trucks is as well. We fight with All Trails every year. Mountain Bike Project and Hike Project and Trail Run Project, we are pretty good relationship with them and get them all closed down there. But majority of the time, I think Ellen can attest to, most people say, I saw it on All Trails. So we continue to try to get them to change it. But it is a never ending battle with that app, unfortunately.
Recommended times of the day.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very good question, Neil. It's more than likely these people are out there using the trail in their backyard, and that's for their coffee in the morning on their dog walk or their lunch break with their dog or right at the end of the day after work. So, those when we have trail counters in a lot of the areas, and we always see like mornings high, then there's a little dip between like 11 o'clock ish, and then noon to 1:30 it goes up, and then it comes down between 2 and 4, and then it goes right back up at the end of the day. So think about it as if you're on your work day and you wanted to go outside and use a trail. When are you going to go? Your breakfast time, your lunch time, or your evening time? And those are the better areas on a nice day. On a sunny day, on a warm day, definitely see more people using the trails. And again, it's a great time to go volunteer as well, because you could go out and hike or get on your fat bike, even if it's Haymaker or West Avon Preserve or trails that are open to that. So yeah, good question, Neil. Thanks. Anything else? Well, cool. Thank you so much for being here. I bet there's more pizza left if anyone's still hungry. Help yourself on the way out. And yeah, Molly will be sending out the manual and this follow up on this presentation here within the next week or so. And reach out anytime. So thank you.